Okay, here is number 8 from our review. And number 8 reads, find a polynomial function of lowest degree with rational coefficients and the following as sum of its zeros. So we are given that 2 of the zeros are negative 10 and 3i. And if you remember, we have 3 different kinds of zeros. We can have rational zeros, and the negative 10 is a rational zero. And rational zeros do not travel in pairs. That means we do not have to have its conjugate or its opposite when we have a rational zero. Second type of zeros that we can have are irrational zeros. Irrational zeros do have to have the conjugate or its opposite with us. So if I have the square root of 2, another zero has to be negative square root of 2. The third kind of zeros we can have are complex or imaginary, and they also travel in pairs. And so I have a complex imaginary number for a zero, and that is 3i. So because I have 3i as a zero, I also have to have negative 3i as a zero. So from these 3 zeros, I am able to create factors. So if negative 10 is a zero, then x minus negative 10 is a factor. And if 3i is a zero, then x minus 3i is a zero. And if negative 3i is a zero, x minus negative 3i is a factor. So I have some minus negatives, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. And so I'm going to have x plus 10 times x minus 3i times x plus 3i. And sometimes the pen does funny things, so we're going to clean that up. X plus 3i. So I'm going to leave my x plus 10i alone, and I'm going to go ahead and FOIL these two factors, x minus 3i and x plus 3i. So I am going to bring down x plus 10. Okay. Then I have x times x, so I'm just FOILing these, and I get x squared. X times positive 3i. That is going to give me 3xi. Then I'm going to have negative 3i times x. That gives me negative 3xi. And exactly what we want to happen is happening there. We are canceling those two middle terms out. Then my last term is negative 3i times positive 3i. That gives me negative 3i squared. And don't forget, I squared is equal to negative 1. Okay, so I am left with x plus 10 times x squared. Those terms cancel. My I squared is minus 3 times negative 1. And that right there becomes plus 3. So I have x plus 10 times x squared plus 3. So now I am going to FOIL that again. So I have x times x squared. That leaves me with x to the third. X times 3 leaves me with 3x. 10 times x squared, I get 10x squared. 10 times 3 gives me 30. So now I'm going to put this in descending order. So I have x to the third plus 10x squared plus 3x plus 30. And that is my final answer. That is all I need. So I have found the polynomial with lowest degree that has those zeros.